Welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, and boy, Bitcoin is not making it easy here, as we did just make our first higher high on the daily time frame, closing above the 106,739 pivot, and that is a higher on a candle body closing basis, meaning the body of this candle closed higher than that candle, and that given us our first higher high. And today, Bitcoin closing with a bit of a doji, an indecision candle, and just something I'm noticing here on the 15-minute time frame. What we've seen for the past couple of days in a row is a bit of a bounce after the day closes. So, here we are. It's 5 o'clock Pacific time. The day just closed. This would have been the last daily closure. And what do you know? Bitcoin comes in, takes out the high, and then comes back down. What happened on the previous day? Well, let's see. Bitcoin closes, the day would have closed right here, instantly takes out the highs, and makes for a pretty good short setup. So in the short term, I would expect we do take out the highs, and then, come back down one more time. That is the name of the game. We're coming into Friday. We'll take a look at some of the higher term momentums to see if we can get a little bit more of a push through to the upside. Something else I wanted to note here, and why I'm leaning towards one more push to the upside, a couple reasons. One being our funding rates are negative right now, and have been negative for a couple of days now. The last few times that this has happened, it doesn't happen very often, usually resolves in some kind of, a bounce, to say the least. So right now you are shorts getting paid, longs going paid. It's been too long of a day. Right now you are paying to go short. Yes, indeed. So longs are getting paid. And so that means more people are on the bearish side at the moment. It's hard to remain bullish. In fact, I am going to take a snip at another little long, showing you a quick little trade setup I have on ETH. I expect ETH to follow through there. And I'm actually going to take a little bit more of a nibble here at Bitcoin on this little tiny account here. And see if I can bring my entry down slightly. And what do you know? And I will be just taking some profits at the top of the range there, as that's more likely the case than not. Usually you don't get an explosive move until New York open tomorrow. And the big question everybody's asking themselves right now is, why is Bitcoin not continuing as NASDAQ is making new all-time highs? It is absolutely smoking to the upside, taking out the highs. It looks like I'm losing my mind here. I thought NASDAQ made a new all-time high yesterday. Do I have to refresh my screen? Is the S&P there? No. Dow? I could be mistaken. Don't quote me here. I must have been looking at the wrong time frame yesterday, as I thought the NASDAQ broke out and took out the high, but it did not. It surely did not. At least NASDAQ futures did not make new all-time highs. Let's check in on NDQ. Indices, I guess that's what we'd have to check. Did I mistake that the other day? Did I mistake? I think I did. Anyways, I would suspect that NASDAQ does pull through there, as the big winner chicken dinner, NVIDIA has pulled through and made a new all-time high. Let's see if I'm right on that one. Okay, yes, sir. NVIDIA making new all-time highs there. Let's see about Apple stock. And why do we keep an eye on the stock market? Well, Bitcoin is kind of like a higher beta NASDAQ, if you ask me. And if stocks are making new all-time highs, well, maybe Bitcoin has a chance here. And I am not seeing Apple right before my very eyes. There it is, Apple. Okay, still down. Maybe a buy. Tesla, maybe a buy. Consolidating. Just curious with Tesla and those new self-driving cars and all that fun stuff. and all that fun stuff. Where is she at? Yeah, Tesla. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that one. Again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I did want to peek in on NASDAQ, and where was my eyes deceiving me, as I thought we already made new all-time highs on the daily time frame here. But I do believe that is incoming. You can see volatility is expanding from a low level, and well, there's going to be a lot of bearish divergence here, and perhaps we don't just shoot right through. What's more likely than not, if we do form a high, print another red dot here, well, you would have some massive bearish divergence, and I'd at least be looking for a move back down to this trend line at the very least, as price is making a higher high, and our momentum oscillator is making lower highs. Excuse me, it's the opposite. Price is making lower highs, and the RSI is making higher highs. Anyways, chances for bearish divergence there, it is not confirmed yet. So let's check in back on Bitcoin. So here's what I do suspect, and I'll just give it away here. A little bit of a bounce back to the top side of this channel. These falling channels really do seem to work. And, line in the sand here on the hourly time frame, excuse me. There is going to be quite a bit of liquidity resting in this zone right around the middle of this channel. So I do expect, if price does head up to the top side of this channel, that we get a big rejection there and we head back, to the very least, the middle of this channel. It doesn't seem like Bitcoin is ready to really explode to new all-time highs right now. So definitely not, looking for any, as you can see, I just took a short-term trade to the upside there. Yeah. So, what are we looking at for Bitcoin in the short term? Likely a bounce, take out this high at 108, right? And then a little bit of a follow through to the downside back to the middle of this channel. If I had to put my prediction goggles on, that's in fact what I'd be looking at. And, using the 1618 or even the 2618 Fibonacci retracement, that looks like a good spot for, this move to complete itself. Now, the other thing I wanted to note is daily volatility is extremely low, and if volatility does expand from this low, it's not even on the floor yet, but on the 2-day time frame, sorry, that's the 1 hour. The 2-day time frame volatility is very low, and the daily, it's been zigzagging around, has not really caught a bid or a real momentum swing yet. The 2-day volatility can get you a relatively bigger move, and the longer that volatility is compressed, well, it acts like a spring. Eventually, this thing is going to have to explode like a beach ball. It's been held underwater, and remember this. This indicator is direction neutral, so it doesn't give us an upside bias or a downside bias. But we are in an uptrend, so we do expect price to go in the direction of the trend when volatility does expand. And the last day we saw a compression in volatility. Well, where volatility was compressed for how many days? On the floor, how many 2-day bars? Just doing a little bit of short-term analysis here. So volatility is compressed and ranging here between 107 and, call it a 7% range there, 107 and 101.8035, 101.835. So volatility's been compressed now for 9 2-day candles. That's 18 days. That's just over 2.5 weeks, or right at about 2.5 weeks. So when's the last time something like this has happened? Where would I say that? Oh, here's an example right here. Wow, what do you know? The last time this happened was the market lows back when Bitcoin was 16,000. Oh boy, don't we wish we bought more then? And how long was it compressed for? I would say, let's take the ruler out and say Bitcoin volatility was compressed for 21 bars. And that led to the major markup of the tune of 37% there. Could we call this another, compression here. Yeah, this was a little bit longer of a time frame. So and that, tells us, hey, it doesn't have to explode right now. We could compress. That was 14 bars there. Here, I would say this was 15 bars there. A more even keeled representation, or a 9-day compression. So that was 10 bars. And what was the dump off that we saw here? The result of that was a 30% move. This one was 37%. This one right here, boom. That doesn't look like that big of a move, right? But if you're looking at this from the low to the high, 16% to the downside, okay. That was the smallest move after volatility compression on the 2-day time frame. So, you can see that this can range. And how would we define expansion? Well, I'd say above 20%. When volatility, you want to see that moving average get above 20%, and then the move is initiated, and you can get a 20 to 30% move, I would say, off the 2-day volatility play. So where would that take price? This is an interesting perspective, and look for myself. Let's call it 25% to either side. Remembering that volatility is direction neutral, 20% to the upside. What do you know? Puts Bitcoin at about 127,000. 20% to the downside, back at 85,000. So with all the positive war news, stock market making new all-time highs, the dollar getting compressed here. The fact is this, though, what is it? Volume, trading volume. Let's see, 7-day average exchange volume. I just had it up yesterday. Where did I get it? Was it on this block site? I don't think this was it. It was it. We don't want to see all of this. Get out. They're really going to make us wait here. And how can I get this to expand? But here it is. This is the chart. Daily volume, exchange volume, spot price volume. So this is daily spot price. Anyways, we need to see volume really start to increase here. Where is 7-day MA? I'm looking for Bitcoin spot to futures volume, way down. Okay. I was looking for futures volume, and I'm not seeing it at the moment, but you can see all the volume. ETH spot to futures volume way down. Total daily ruble volume. So we're trading in Russian rubles there. Everything way down. So when volume is down, I'd say it's easier to push price to the downside. And anyways, that's kind of holding that cautiously bullish bias here that we do have. Second thing I wanted to note, okay, volatility, the momentum indicator is positioned to the upside, and you are going to have a drive of bullish divergence, which could have already played out, where the price is making the higher low and the RSI making the lower low. So really waiting for that volatility expansion to happen before our very eyes. And last thing I will bring it up to, why I'm still kind of leaning on a test at the top side of this range. Oh, that kind of kills it right there. We've already met the value area high of the range. One more spurt up here to fake everybody out. That could easily happen. I had it drawn out a bit differently yesterday, and it really depends on where you start your, there it is. So taking it back, dragging it back to here. So if you include all this price action, it brings the value area high down significantly. A lot of people are starting to go short, and so what can typically happen, just what I've seen over the years, the market maker, whoever it is, the magic fingers will push the price up one more time before giving us that major retracement. And you got the VWAP coming in at 105. Probably look for a bounce there on the first pass. And where is this thing drawn from? Let's see. And it depends on where you draw your VWAP from. That gives us a little bit more of an accurate target. You've got several things lined up there to the downside coming in at 104,500. So yeah, still leaning towards a short-term bounce on the short-term time frames, and the higher term time frame, again, big things shall be revealed if, especially if we can reverse the 2-day time frame, and we can see volatility expand as momentum is to the upside. Now, the stochastic is still very, very low, so, it gives us more time, more 2-day candles to continue to erupt to the upside. But we really want to see a volume start to come in here. On the daily time frame, you can see the volume here is just very, very, low. Overall, coming back from these lows at 77,000, the biggest volume spike that we saw was what? This daily candle. I don't know what happened that day, but it did receive a bit of follow through. And at the very least, I'm looking for a backfill on this candle right here. Let's see, which we're already getting it on this doji. A lot of times when you get these couple of green candles in a row and then a doji, you at least backfill that candle, which if we look at that on the very, very short time frame, yeah, that would just put us up to this high right here. If she does lose her steam right in this area, kind of first warning sign. Yeah, if we do even put in a lower high right here, we could get a quick move down to this VWAP right here. And yeah, just everybody that was long from here, right, is just gradually moving their stop losses up. And that's where, when price comes down, you will get that first initial bounce. So again, we shall see. Only time will tell. Overall, we still got our long-term bullish case and narrative in place. One more swipe to the upside and then down. So answering the question, why are my altcoins dying here? Why are my altcoins dying? Well, Bitcoin dominance is showing himself strong. And you can see Bitcoin dominance has made it up to almost 66%. I think it was at 66% today. And let's just remove all these and really dig back to the last time we had a major alt season was this, when Bitcoin dominance goes down while the Bitcoin price goes up. That is alt season. Has Bitcoin dominance gone down at all? And yeah, we are saying, a retracement up to the 618 is not unheard of, especially with all the institutions coming in and just buying a bunch of Bitcoin, right? I do want to remind you guys, if you want to join us on BloFin, you can receive up to a 20% trading bonus on anything you deposit. Actually, you have to deposit Tether to participate. Make sure you check out the link in the description below. Yep, just getting back to our chart here. We are at the 0.5, so this could provide for us a rejection, but with the way momentum is flipped back up here and volatility is low, Bitcoin is showing himself very, very strong. And back to, why are my altcoins bleeding it out? Well, when Bitcoin dominance goes up, that means more money is going into Bitcoin and not into your altcoins, and that's what is happening. In fact, the other thing that we can look at to see if a potential alt season is nearing is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. This is Ethereum priced in Bitcoin, and as you can see, it is still in a strong downtrend, and that's on the weekly time frame. And we just had a fresh cross to the downside, a red dot printed on market cipher. And on the daily time frame, we are still caught below support. So in a downtrend, and we need that to reverse. It had a chance to reverse, but sure enough, just did not follow through. Hit our 618, and if we are going to see an increase, well, it's got a lot of work to do. Essentially, what we really need to happen is alt season is this. Boom. That happens there on Ethereum, Bitcoin, and this happens here on Mr. Bitcoin dominance. Where's the major trend line that has caught every bounce since the dawn of time when it comes to this chart? Let's see if we can get in a nice little parallel channel. So usually if you make, what I found in crypto is if you make it to the 0.5, you might get a short-term rejection, but usually you're going to go to that 618, and that, I wonder if the downtrend anchored VWAP will give us anything. Sometimes these, yeah, that did not really help us. But we did smash through, made a higher low, so that's bullish. That is generally bullish when you see something like that happen. If we put it to this side here, and one I want to look at here is, where is it? One other look, I want to put a downtrend anchored VWAP, or this guy right here. Okay, so needs to smash through that thing. It needs to smash through the downtrend anchored VWAP and make a lower high, and that would certainly help us out if you are an altcoin enthusiast. And the other thing about these trend lines is, right, 3 touches makes a trend, and especially when you can have these supporting trend lines coming from, you know, previous areas like that. I do like that for a little confluence. And it doesn't matter if you deviate above the channel and you fall back in. You can see this median has acted as support multiple times. So what we don't want to see is a break above here and a higher low, and then that would not be what you want to see when it comes to your altcoins. Another thing telling me we are heading up to the 70 percentile area is this. We've smashed through the 786, and once you do that, usually it is a clear party to the 100 percentile there. So just food for thought if you are thinking about altcoins and when entry, right? You want to see a reversal on Bitcoin dominance. You want to see a reversal on Ethereum Bitcoin. And lastly, I do want to take a look at good old Tether dominance. Tether dominance on the weekly time frame. Does this chart look bullish or bearish to you? Looks fairly bullish to me. Does have a lower low and a lower high, and so we are range bound at the moment. And when Tether dominance goes up again, that means more money is flowing into Tether and not into your Bitcoin, not into your altcoins, but into dollars. And stable coins are a very important factor for this new and bright and future economy. I was just having a conversation today. What do you think central bank digital currency is going to be? It's going to be stable coins. And where is it going to go? Well, when all the robots and the AI take over and they need to set up universal basic income, I'm willing to bet they'll be doling it out in central bank digital currency. And that's why you want to have your Bitcoin stashed away, far, far away in a, I don't know where you're going to stash it, but that's just my 2 cents. Yep. So I guess we could take a look at gold, which the greatest deceiver of them all, you know, gold. Here was my look. To be completely frank, I was looking at this as a bit of a double top. We got to move down to about 3,100. And we said, yeah, this was the area to break, 3188. If we did not break that, well, you know, obviously you're going to get a bit of a reversal. And now that the war is over and we do have, well, we're amidst making our first, you know, lower high, lower low, trend reversal on the daily for gold. So that's not good. The more important metal, the more useful metal, whatever you want to call it, still has a measure move target off of this inverted head and shoulders, and could very likely give us a move up to the good old 786 fib. You know, we're making a higher low on the 618. That looks good. And gold has had its chance in the sunshine. And, you know, I imagine silver does follow with a bit more follow through. Gosh, it's such a sloppy inverted head and shoulders. I wish I had it all drawn out nicely, but it's just not happening right now. Let's see if we are measuring from the neckline again. That would be your neckline. For some reason, I'm actually rethinking this drawing here. Inverted head and shoulders. Let's see on the daily time frame, because I know you all want to know about your silver, and here's what I got here. This is just left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Does anybody agree? Make sure you post a comment below and let me know your thoughts there. There's my inverted head and shoulders. And did we get the measure move right? Should we call that the breakout? Gosh, it's too hard to see right now. I think my eyes are going blurry. At the end of the day here, where would I suggest this neckline? Let's see if we can see it better on the weekly time frame. It's got to really stand out. Left, right, left shoulder, right shoulder. This being the neckline, or is this the neckline? Let's say that's the neckline to give it a more conservative target. Broke out, retested as support, and boom. So from the neckline to the head, that gives you a target of 4170 if you're a little more conservative, right? A little more aggressive. I'm going to call that the neckline. Bang, broke it out, retested, never took out the right shoulder. That's what you want to see. And we're making higher lows and higher highs all the way along here. You can see that. And that gives you that deeper target up to about $49. Now, looking at this on a monthly time frame, because silver has a old long chart, old, lots of price action. It'd be fun to check out the fixed range volume profile and the VWAP. That's more than 10 years of price history. So yeah, there's virtually no buying. Let's go back 50 years. Why not? There's not a lot of volume above $30. So if we can take out the all-time high here at $58, that's such an interesting look. Spot price, this is a futures market, so it's not the same as the spot price. Spot price did not get to $58. The futures market always leads the spot market. So that's just something to keep that in the back of your eyes and your head. And yeah, I'm still leaning higher for silver. Volatility is just getting its first tick up on the monthly. Weekly is up and to the right. And if we do confirm a high, though, it can come back down to support here at 30 bucks. So just, I think that's it for today, guys. I think that is it for today. Did I have anything on Ethereum on the shorter term time frame? Are we getting the bounce? No, we are not. The steam is running out, and that's okay. Yep, losing the VWAP on the hourly. First warning sign that things are turning around in the short term for Mr. Ethereum. All right, that's it out of me today, guys. I hope you have a blessed and highly favored rest of your week, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.